Hi guys, it's JT here, and I've got a video for all of the millennials and Generation Z people out there right now. And this is one of the biggest decisions that you'll ever make. That's what I want to talk to you about today. This decision could be the decision between whether you spend most of your life regretting your choice or loving your choice. This decision could be whether you start your adult life in tens of thousands of pounds or hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, or whether you kickstart your career in a completely different format with money and debt free. And this question I want to tackle is, should I go to university? This is such a big decision. Now, a little bit about me. Why should I talk about this? Why can you listen to me about this? Well, I am a millennial and I went through this very same decision. So my background is I went to traditional education route, right? So secondary school, I went to college, and then I had a choice to make. My choice was, do I go to university or do I start working? Now, I did start working at the age of 16 and 17, so I did have some money. Like, I was working, I was getting money. It wasn't a lot, but it was something, right? So I had a bit of taste of what it was like to have money in my bank account and have that control and freedom to go and do what I wanted to do, whether it's going to the movies or going out with my friends, that kind of stuff, right? But now I'm at this point. I'm at this point in my life, so I'm 18 years old. I have a choice to make. Now, university wasn't really for me. I wasn't very what you'd say like a traditional education route type person. I preferred the practical side of things. I wasn't what you consider an academic. I decided to do something that included a bit of both. I chose an apprenticeship route. Now, that wasn't just a choice. I had to go through an interview process, I had to go through an assessment process, and I decided that actually, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to commit to this, because this is something that was really important. This choice is probably, for most people, the first really big decision that you're ever going to make in your life. Going to university or choosing to go down a different route. Now, university is a traditional, what's expected type academic educational route. And doing something different, whether this be going straight into the working world, whether it be an apprenticeship, or whether it be starting your own business, so that entrepreneurial spirit, that is completely different route, and that's not what people are used to. And that choice is the biggest and probably the first biggest decision that you are ever going to make. And it was exactly like that for me. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when your parents at that age generally say to you, it's your choice, but you've spent the last 18 years doing what they tell you to do, really, is it really your choice? Or is it an implied choice? So what I mean by that is, when you've had someone control your decisions for 18 years, and then they say to you, okay, do you want to go to university or do you want to start working? Want to go to university, and they're really trying to eagerly push you down that route, you kind of feel a bit pressured to say yes, even though that's not what you want to do. I definitely know certain cultures, the university route is expected. So, for example, I'm of an Indian heritage and culture, and within the Indian culture, going to university is kind of expected. And if you don't go to university, you're kind of considered a failure in a lot of older generations' eyes. Now, that sometimes that pressure can push people to making a decision. Now, fortunately enough for my parents, they were quite open, and they could see I wasn't really an academic, so they kind of suggested the apprenticeship route and said, maybe why don't you have a look at this. Now, I made that decision because I said, this is the first choice I'm going to make. It's a real big decision. I'm going to commit. I'm going to do this 100%. And that was the engineering route, within the civil engineering construction route, right? Now, that was the first big choice for me. Now, if you look at the pros and cons, so I know a lot of people who have been to university. My wife included went to university. I know a lot of people who did not. They chose to go to work. For example, my brother done the same thing. He went down the apprenticeship route and then started his own business. Well, we actually started our first business together. Now, I have met people and know people who their career choice, their passion was to go down a route, for example, being a lawyer, being a doctor, and that meant that they had to go to university to get that education, that really specific degree or the PhD that they needed to take themselves that level in that career. Now, that choice to go to university could be the catalyst for you to spur yourself on to success, your passion. So for example, doctors, they love what they do. Lawyers, they love what they do. Yes, it is tough, but they do it because there's a driving passion there. They know what they want to do and they've made that decision. Or you could be on the other end of the spectrum where you're going to university because you feel like you're expected to. You really don't know what you want to do, so you just pick university. You say, okay, well, I can get a student loan, I'll just go to university, I'll do a business, or I'll do a history degree, or I'll do an art degree. I'm not knocking those degrees at all, by the way. I'm just saying these are things that perhaps you've chosen. They're not really something that you're entirely passionate in. But for example, when I was in college, I went and did physics and maths, which because I was logical, they said, yeah, that's a good thing to do, and just do art. And I enjoyed art, but I didn't really enjoy the physics and maths, that kind of really in-depth calculation side of things. I enjoyed the practical application of it, right? So that's what I'm trying to talk about here. I'm not knocking those type of degrees at all. I'm saying these might not be what you're passionate about. So what do you end up doing? You end up going to university and you're put under this pressure which causes stress, sleepless nights, regret, because you're now 2-3 years in, you don't know if it's what you're going to do. How many of people have you heard of who fail their first year because it's just not what they wanted to do? It's not because of the fact that they couldn't do it, it's the fact that they didn't want to do it. So they didn't fully apply themselves, they didn't commit to doing what they needed to do. And I know people now who are 30, 40 years old, are still in debt, and they regret going to university because when they left university, they didn't even follow the career path of the degree that they chose to do. Right? So there's the two ends of the spectrum there. There's the you knowing what you want and you're passionate, you choose it, it takes you to the heights that you want within your career, or you have no idea and you just do it for the sake of doing it. And then you regret because you've been in university for 3-4 years and suddenly you're now 23, you're leaving, you're like, have I just wasted 4 years of my life? I haven't even learned anything. Can I take this degree and now I'm applying for a job which they don't even care about it? That's the two ends of the spectrum. So it's really deciding, weighing up the pros and cons. Now, what do you do? What I'm trying to say is, I'm not giving you advice and telling you what you should do and what you shouldn't do, right? But in terms of whether you should go to university or shouldn't go to university, what I do want to tell you to do though, and now this is advice, don't blindly make a decision based on what other people expect you to do, right? So that's decision making at the worst level, because your parents or your friends have gone, or you've heard someone has gone and had a success story, so you think, oh yeah, I know one person, or my parents really want me to go, so I'm just going to go to university, I'm just going to get a student loan, I don't really know what I want to do, but I'm just going to do it anyway. Don't do that. Really have a think. What is it that you want in life? Where do you want to go in life? What interests you? If you had no blockers whatsoever, what would your dream be? What would you really want to do? Right? Now, ask yourself these questions. You can pause the video, you can go back if you want. Ask yourself those questions. And also, if you're liking this content, you're liking this video, you watched all my other videos, give this video a like or hit the subscribe button and keep supporting my content, because I love putting this stuff out there. Okay, now I'm going back to the video again. So ask yourself these questions, right? What is it that you really want? If you decide that what you really want is achievable through going to university, then do it. But if you're going to do it, commit. But if you aren't sure, you really don't know, then don't go. Don't just do it for the sake of doing it. Think about another route. For example, myself, I wasn't the academic type. I wasn't too sure. So what I said I'm going to do is I'm going to start in the working world. And the reason I chose this apprenticeship, so the apprenticeship I chose with a company that I used to work for, over another apprenticeship. So I actually went through two. I had done the interviews, I'd done the assessment days, I was successful on both, and then I had a choice to make. Which one do I want to do? The reason I chose this one, because it aligned mostly with who I was. The other one was slightly limited in where I would go, who I could meet, and who I could work for, and the scope of my learning and development. Whereas the one I chose had unlimited potential. I've worked all over the country. I've met thousands of different types of people. My personal development has skyrocketed in the last 10 years. It's put me in this position where I now have this knowledge of leadership and confidence to sit in front of a camera and talk to you guys and share this information with you, share my story, share other people's stories, success stories, and share tools for you to be able to spur yourself onto success and help you better decide or guide your life. That's why I chose what I did. Now, I didn't know that at the time, but what I did know is that there was more potential for me in terms of personal development and growth. That's why I chose it. And that was aligned with who I am. So that's the kind of questions you need to ask yourself. So you can again pause, go back, ask yourself those questions, and then make the decision. Because then you know that the decision you make is a decision that you want to do. And like I said, it's one of the biggest decisions that you're going to make, probably the first biggest decision. And if you're a Generation Z, you're probably now thinking, I don't know what I want to do. I don't want to go to university. I don't want to work. I really don't know what I want to do. So my advice again would be, ask yourself those questions. If you feel that university is the route for you to go to university. If you feel strongly that that's not the route for you to go, what I would suggest is go out and try some things. Go work for different companies. Perhaps do a year in a tech company or a year in charity work. A year in engineering, for example, and my background, so you can learn different skills, different abilities. Perhaps set your own business up in the background so you can try that as well. Put your hands in different pies to try different things to see what really sparks something in you. It might take a few years. You might build something. You might find that after 1 or 2 years of doing something, doing a certain type of job or a certain type of business, that actually this is what you want to do. Now that is how you can really create a catalyst effect for your own success, future in life. Especially, so sometimes millennials are probably coming out of that age where you're going to university, you're not going to university. But Generation Z, this really applies to you. If you really don't know, I suggest go try different things. And then if you feel you need to go to university, go to university. For example, I'd done the apprenticeship route, and then 3 years ago, I went back to university. I went and got my master's degree in project management. Why? Because it could help me in my career, but it could also help me become a better leader. Give me tools and understanding that I wasn't aware of. So there's always that option. There's so many limitless potentials out there now. And just on a side note, I personally feel that often we are tied university into an age. So we think once we go to college, finish that, you have to go to university. You have to be done by the age of 23, 24, start working, and by the age of 30 or 26, 27, you need to buy a house. We're stuck in this accepted life path when really that doesn't exist. It's personal and it's down to you. But what I do suggest is go back to ask yourself those questions. That will really help you guide you in understanding what is important and the route that you want to go with. If you like that video, if it brought you any value at all, hit the subscribe button or share it. Share it with someone that you feel might need this right now. If you're a parent and you've got a child going through the same decision, perhaps share this video with them. Ask or take these questions and go back to them. Don't even show them the video. Just go but ask them these questions before they make that decision. And if you are a parent, maybe think about yourself. Are you indirectly pressuring your child into making a decision that you want over what they want? Because that could really affect their happiness, their motivation, and their drive later on in life. Thank you very much for listening. I hope this video brought you value. I'm going to bring you more content and more videos. So again, hit the subscribe button and stay in touch. Stay in tune for more videos. Thank you very much for listening. This is JT signing out.